We are live. Good morning, good morning. It's actually harder than you think to get these things set up. I mean, there's always something. Today it was the bit rate, the frame rate was wrong. God damn it, it's so difficult, you know. I recommend anyone who's sort of thinking of doing this to download something called OBS. That's what it is. It's OBS, and it's like this little studio, basically. I mean, I can probably actually put it on the other screen, which would freak everyone out, but yeah, you're trying to do this and running this stream at the same time. But I've got some good news. Crowdcube have launched a new campaign, so we've got a couple of other campaigns to rinse. So let's take a look at this for a start. Yesterday we had a look at Sans Matin. Today we've got Torafine and Reliked. Reliked is an interesting concept. It's something I'd actually thought of myself, which doesn't make it any better or any worse, you know. But it does make it interesting for me, because I did wonder, but I was more going after like grime artists, like buy Skepta's shoes. But I think that's what this might be. But I hope everyone's got a strong coffee. We're going to do an hour, maybe an hour and a half today. As always, the chat is open. Drop your questions, drop your comments below. I'm up for anything. If you want to come on and chat with me, feel free. I'll post a Zoom link. This is about showcasing other businesses. Maybe they're not very good. I can't promise that they're good, but we can certainly check them out. And then what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to do my standard crowdfunding review, and then basically I'm going to go through, you know, what makes a good pitch deck and stuff like that. I'm gonna just build one from scratch again, so we can just chat about the theory. Because I've had a few calls recently where people have sort of you know, pitched their pitch and they just missed the mark. So I think we just need to keep going back to the basics and make sure we've got everything covered ultimately. Sweet. It made me launch 2 blinking events, so I'm sorry if other people are on it. Right, cool. We've got Reliked here today. Let's go and check out the team first and foremost, so we're not being... We've got Lisa Minoli. Lisa is the CEO. Again, only 283 followers. Lisa, you could do with a little revamp on here. Absolutely, it'll help your business in many ways. I highly recommend having a presence on this platform. But she's got certainly good experience. She's been an interior designer for 5 years, and she's been a style advisor for 5 years. And she's now done Reliked for 5 years. Wow, so she's got... Wow, yeah, nearly 15 years experience in this space, so that's a domain expert. Let's have a look what they're saying. Reliked aims to be the UK real set. Reliked aims to be the UK real sale platform exclusively for influencers and celebrities to sell their pre-owned items. Aims to be the UK real sale platform. Okay, whatever. With over 500 influential clients already signed up, including Amanda Holden, Vicky Patterson, and Tom Daly, Reliked is ideally placed to drive disruption in the retail industry. I don't think it's going to drive disruption in the retail industry. I think it gives celebrities a nice way to sell their old gear at a premium. Ultimately, they could sell their stuff on Depop or eBay or Vestiaire or... name 100 other platforms that already solve this problem. However, it would be anonymous, and they wouldn't get that halo effect of, you know, wearing Tom Daly's old red jumper. So it's not going to disrupt the retail industry, but it certainly makes an interesting business. So I'm not going to criticize that. 1.3 million in annual sales. See, I love this about Crowdcube. They balance the EBITDA out. Seeders don't do that, and I think it's bad. So again, when we go on to it, I can't remember which one had good. I think it was Stasher. I did like Stasher as a campaign. But when we went on Stasher's campaign, they did have here. They had 1.4 million in gross revenue, However, as you can see Crowdcube balance that out with an EBITDA because it's negative. I do think that's good practice, and I'm going to give Crowdcube a thumbs up for that, ultimately. I think it's good for retail investors. They're not getting hoodwinked. 30k customers and 93k social media followers. Cool. I mean, 1.3 million annual sales. Let's see later on. It's not going to, because Crowdcube doesn't give enough information in their pitches, but you know, what's that? 9% commission, 12%. OnlyFans gets what, 20% commission? It's OnlyFans, but you sell clothes instead of nudes. Combined social following of 168 million between our influencer clients, giving a new life to over 250,000 items and raised 100k for charity. By 2026, resale in the US is predicted to grow 16 times faster than traditional clothing retail. Well, that would suggest that they want to launch in the USA. However, Vicky Patterson ain't going to launch you in the USA, so that's going to take a significant step up in, you know, pretty much everything in the business, not just in the influencers. We've got a video. We're going to read the pictures today. The retail industry is broken. No, it's not. I just hate I hate claims like that, because I can buy a brand new PC computer and it will arrive at my desk in the mountains of Spain within 24 hours. I can buy any item of clothing from anywhere in the world and it'll arrive at my house within 48 hours, maybe a week. There's nothing broken about retail, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop me a comment if you think I'm speaking out of turn there, but I definitely don't. Good morning. We're starting to get the good mornings coming in. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. I'm going to reply to that. Right, how you print in phonics? I'm guessing it's Micalio. Yeah, like Micalio. Hey, good morning, Micalio. I struggle with names since I moved to Spain. It killed my pronunciations, unfortunately. The fashion industry now accounts for 10% of global carbon emissions. This cannot and must not continue. Now, I've used that narrative a few times myself in pitch decks. And, you know, it's grossly misleading. And I've kind of moved away from it myself, just for the reason that the vast majority of carbon emissions that the fashion industry outputs isn't making red woolly jumpers for Tom Daley. You know, that isn't what's causing the problem. Ultimately, the problem comes from, you know, the likes of Primark, etc., which you're never going to be able to resell. I mean, a Primark jumper after 2 washes is destroyed. Primark in the UK, if you're not from the UK, it's like a cheap H&M or something like that, you know. It's that's the stuff that's killing the planet. Fast fashion, you know, these £1 clothing sales on Boohoo, that kills the planet. These little fluffy red jumpers that they're talking about reselling, they're not doing that. The fashion, this cannot and must not continue. It's kind of a wasted text of paragraph of text, you know. Bearing in mind on Crowdcube, that's all the information that we get. It's a bit of a waste. Contentious consumers are beginning to seek alternatives to fast fashion. We're in the early stages of radical transformation in retail by 2026. So I think what they're saying is that you can, if you're reselling luxury or, you know, higher quality garments, then less affluent people can buy those secondhand instead of buying new clothing. But, you know, people just like buying new clothes for themselves because, believe it or not, we need to wear clothes as humans. Hey, maybe there's something in my coffee this morning, but I'm feeling a little bit skeptical. Relike aims to be the UK platform for influencers. Anyway, back on this. So we've done one paragraph of basically, you know, general blurb that could be in that is probably in 99% of fashion pitches, so waste of space. Conscious consumers begin to seek alternatives. Whatever. We're in the early stages of radical transformation. By 2026, retail is expected to go 16 times faster. It's expected to grow, but again, it's a massive forecast. You know, but it's 2023 today, and we've got no idea what's going to happen tomorrow or next month or even at Christmas. You know, so to then spend half your pitch talking about that's no good. Relike aims to be the UK platform for. Let's get this playing in the background. Relike aims to be the UK platform for influencers and celebrities to sell their gear. The growth engine for our business is a layering model. New influencers would join and introduce their followings to become first-time shoppers after initially buying pieces from the curated collections of the influencers. Many then become repeat customers after having a great experience. Yeah, I'm not going to criticize that. I mean, it's a solid go-to-market strategy. It's called network effects, and ultimately a network effect brings people into your business through multiple different ways. But again, you know, this is an investment pitch. Where's the lifetime value? Where's the average value? Where's your commission rate? I mean, people are supposed to be making an investment decision pretty much in one sitting on the platform. I've agreed not to read anything that's not publicly available on these pitches, but I would love to read the pitch deck. We'll have a look down here. We've developed a specialized set of capabilities that allow us to expand. So look, my advice for anybody who's crowdfunding, especially on Crowdcube, is get some meat into this pitch because they are so washy, it's unbelievable. I mean, you may as well not bother crowdfunding and going through the process of, you know, getting your pitch verified and spending the 10K if this is what you're going to come out with. I mean, there is only 1 or 2 lines in this whole crowdfunding page here that's dedicated to the business, that's actually unique to the business, and it's their go-to-market strategy. That's it. You know, the rest of the stuff is just cut and paste fashion that we see in 100% of decks, pretty much. We've developed not just for influencers. They want to talk about developing a marketplace not just for influencers, but for everybody. You have to own your space. You're either for influencers or you're not. If you're going to step outside of that and try and go for the bread and butter consumer, it's going to be different. We believe that our blue tick heritage will differentiate us from marketplaces. Well, so Vicky Patterson gets a blue tick because she was shagged on Geordie Shore. Sorry, that was a little bit crude, but do you know what I mean? Like, don't love that. 65 investors and 64% raised. Ultimately, they've got a lot of work to do from here. 10 million valuation is very high. Bearing in mind that if we're looking at 1.3 million annual sales, that's likely to be the top line revenue. If we look at an actual, at most, they're going to be doing 30% commission on these items. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I can imagine it'll be about 30%. So I mean, their revenue is going to be what, 350k a year, and they've got a 10 million valuation. Again, that seems very high for the raise size. You know, yeah, I'm not 100% keen on this. I think there's a couple of little mistakes that we've fallen into. The biggest one being that, you know, we need to get some meat on the bones here. It's an investment pitch. Appeared in the Sun's top 10 ways to help you beat the cost of living crisis. Hey, I wish I'm gonna get some animations. Top 10 tip to beat the cost of living crisis by Tom Daly's old jumper. Yeah, it's a pass from me on that one, unfortunately. I can't get excited by that, sorry. I've seen so many unbelievable businesses in that space. It is so, I can't even explain to you just how competitive it is. It's unbelievable. And in my opinion, it doesn't give enough. Torafine. Let's have a look at the team first. Okay, we've got some old schoolers. Bermuda. It just gets better and better today, folks. It just gets better and better today. That is hilarious. Been it, yeah. That one didn't get a great review. Just reading the comments. Totally agree. Just a bit washy for me. So we're on Torafine. This is a United Kingdom business, but the founder is based in Bermuda. I think, I don't know, that's it. That's an initial slight red flag for any investor. But let's move on. We've got a blue bar on the campaign, which means Crowdcube want to disclose something for us and they want us to see it. So out of the 821k, £700,000 of that was raised by the company prior to the campaign. Completion of the crowd raise will occur on the same material terms and share price. Now that may mean that it's in, it may not mean that it's in. They haven't spent it. That hasn't come down as spent. But it is on the bar. Look, largest investment, 400k. Okay, got some good investor sentiment. Let's get stuck in. 212 investors. That's unbelievable, especially in this day and age. Wow, look at that valuation. 89 million. 89 million valuation on a crowdfunding platform. Wow. I never get used to seeing that, you know. Just never get used to seeing it. I mean, it's so massive. You know, giving away 1% for nearly £1 million. I mean, talk about shortchanging retail investors. This is part of the reason I do this, you know, as well. It's like, if you're gonna go on a crowdfunding platform, have a little bit of integrity, you know. But hey ho. Torafine aims to transform the packaging industry using its proprietary graphene-based material. With improved strength, flexibility, and barrier properties, it reduces plastic usage in the 1.1 trillion packaging industry, empowering businesses and consumers to contribute sustainably. Cool mission statement. I mean, I will say that that's been very well written. It's clear, it's exciting. So yeah, I've got no problem with that. Graphene's interesting. I do find graphene interesting. I didn't think the big revolution out of graphene would be paper cups, though. I thought we were going to get semiconductors or superconductors. Joint development agreement with a 10.9 billion global consumer health brand. Well, why do you need to raise £1 million off the crowd then for 1%? Why can't they pay for it? Sorry. In discussion with 30 companies, including 10 Fortune 500 companies. I'm presuming that's to be their packaging supplier. Launched first product, a bio-based waste bin liner with barrier performance. What? So the first product's a bin bag? The first product out of graphene was a bin bag. That's what we got, bin bags. Filed 7 patent families to protect their groundbreaking technology. That's fine, that's cool. Let's get this running in the background. Our convenience-driven society's excessive use and disposal of plastic poses a pressing concern, while companies maintain strong investments in their current manufacturing practices. Torafine aims to transform the packaging industry with its groundbreaking, commercially viable material. By combining graphene with plastic or natural polymers, Torafine creates a material that improves strength, flexibility, barrier, and recyclability. Yeah, it's hard to evaluate pictures like this. Because, you know, there's a lot of just, alright, we've just got to trust you in the fact that, okay, we'll just believe you that it does that. The 1.1 trillion global packaging market offers a substantial opportunity for introducing sustainable alternatives. It's hard not to agree with that. The successful launch of the first product, a bin bag with barrier performance, showcases Torafine's commitment to sustainability. I don't understand how that showcases your commitment to sustainability, but it is what it is. With an estimated 1 trillion plastic waste bags used annually, the product debut opens doors for range. We entered a JDA to sign with the 19. Alright, so this is a summary. 89 million valuation for a company that sold 200k in bin bags. You make your own decision up on that one. But they have got a patent for 7 extra products. To me, I'm missing something. I mean, it's I get it. I certainly get it, but you know, I'm missing something here. Maybe it's in the investor deck. Let's have a look. Let's have a look in the questions and see what people are picking up on. Let's have a look. People are digging into. This is why I love. I love it and I hate it. You know, because in a way, crowdfunding is archaic in the sense that it has a text-based forum for the actual due diligence where you have to just ask the founder questions. 90% of the time they just avoid the question, send some waffle back. I would know, I get paid to write the replies. But let's see how we go. The campaign description, external investment of 700k. Can you provide a few more details? Your pitch deck, one in case you raise 1 million and one in case you can raise 5. Doesn't look like you're going to get the 5. Both projections show you close to break even, but continue to make a loss. 700k comes from one private investment in an institutional investor. In our previous work experience, many investors. Yeah, not that much extra information there, generally. Wow. Okay, so it's 89 million for a company that's done 130k in revenue. I'll leave it there, but for me, it gets a 3 out of 10 just for that alone. I just think it's taking the piss a little bit. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on here. I don't know if I'm gonna get kicked off for saying minor cuss words on LinkedIn. Cool. So what we're gonna do now is let's have a look who's posting on LinkedIn while I'm getting the next thing loaded. We've got Eddie. I've never met Eddie before. I've never met this guy, Eddie Whittingham. And actually, to be honest with you, he originally annoyed me on LinkedIn because it was like that classic narrative sort of where it's borderline guru, but you know, I think he's earned my respect through his hard-hitting content, so I quite like that stuff. Wow, stuff. I'll get banned for even showing this post, but yeah, fair. Let's drop it a like. So I'm just loading up my investor template in my template. So this is free. I'll post it in the comments. This is 100% free. Just do me a favor, make a Cool. So basically, I keep doing pitch deck reviews for people, and I keep going through, I keep going through various elements with them, and I still think we're just making basic mistakes that we can avoid quite easily. So let's just get into a couple of those now, and talk about how we actually structure a pitch deck and what we're looking for in a pitch deck, which is so important. So this is a joke business. I made this business. It's a joke. I have to repeat. This is a joke business. Don't take the business seriously at all. It's not designed to be taken seriously. So the front page, obviously, you know, I would probably prefer a bit of a more designed background on that. I like at the minute, let's say, for example, if we are using one of these type images, like a, you know, a great thing to do with background images is just to stick a rectangle over it, and make the rectangle black, and then just decrease that transparency a little bit. And basically, if you then make that white, you can get a bit of nice contrast on the page there. And it doesn't look so bland. You know, again, a big part of pitch decks nowadays is just not looking basic and bland. It's just about trying to stand out a little bit. So try to do that as much as possible. And what I just showed you there is quite a good little tip. Now, the layout of a pitch deck is so important. It's so important for two reasons. One, the other person on the other side of the screen is benchmarking. And that means that they're trying to review this opportunity. And to do that, they need to have something that they can benchmark against other opportunities. So in this instance, follow a flow, and the flow allows you quite simply to be able to tell the story in a way where the reader is asking the next question and you answer it in their head. So if I ask you the problem, you're going to say, what's the solution? If I say, you know, about the product, you're going to say, how big's the market? You know, our brain works in a certain way, and we have to try and leverage that as much as possible. So first step is a mission statement, and that's something I always go into. What is your mission? You know, tell the reader the big dream here, and don't fall into the crowdfunding trap where you say nothing. You know, you have to be ultra clear on what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, you have to be ultra clear on what you're trying to achieve, basically. If you're not, what's the point? You know, we're not trying to do like a document that sort of skirts around the outside and blah blah blah. You know, it's, this is who I am, this is what I'm trying to do, take me seriously. And they will. So what's the problem? The problem affecting 790 million people globally is that 10% of people dread zombies. That's a true fact, ladies and gentlemen, that I found when making this pitch deck. 10% of the global population dread a zombie apocalypse. So that's 790 million people globally. What a massive opportunity for us to sell anti-zombie stuff to them. So again, the problem page is all about big impact, big, like, what's the problem? You know, like, slap me with the problem. You know, society is nose diving. The Tories are turning us all into zombies. You know, anything that you want to write. I live in Spain, so I'm not political. In fact, we have our own government here, so, you know, Rishi Sunak is irrelevant to my life, apart from my business and my clients. But apart from that, I like to pretend that I'm immune to all of that dross. So once we set up the problem, we then give a solution, and as you can... As you can see here, the solution is to be quite big. You know, so our solution can save humanity. You know, be bold, be ambitious. I think that's the big thing with pitch decks, is that people just aren't ambitious enough, especially not the ones that I see coming across my desk anyway, and the ones that I'm helping people with. So once we've done the problem, we go into the solution. The solution, in a way, isn't a product overview, and that's a mistake a lot of people make. You know, they go into the solution as to say, all right, the solution is my app has a little feature in it. No, the solution is like a broad brush stroke. So in my world at the minute, the problem is that no one can raise funding. The solution is that, you know, we've created a holistic approach to, you know, fill in a full round or something along those lines, you know. So set the problem up, and the solution has to answer your problem. Again, this template is free. Just literally file, make a copy, entire presentation, and just swap the images and the logo and the text out, and you'll already have a better deck than 90% of people. This is a why now slide. I would say, like, looking back on this with a bit of hindsight, what have we got? Texturize, quick, silver, quicksand. Yeah, so just probably best to just label that, to be fair, just so people actually know what you're talking about on the slide. So this slide's the why now slide. I'll just put it in black so you can see it. Oh. I'll go over the other side. Okay. Made it to the other side of the screen. Yeah, so why now is really important. Don't forget, like with investment, it's very clear. It's like, here's the problem, here's the solution, but why am I going to part with my money now? You know, there needs to be an urgency in an investment campaign to drop the cash, and there's a common denominator between the rounds that close and the narratives that they build. The narratives have like a financial, economic urgency, and by a financial urgency, that could be, you know, if we go to market next week, like the World Cup's a great example, American football, well, soccer. There's a World Cup coming up in America in 2026. Lionel Messi's just gone to America, and we're now seeing a huge influx of eyes onto the American game. It's going to be the biggest World Cup ever, and then they're doing the Olympics, I think, just after or just before. So it's going to be all eyes on America. So if you've got a business in the UK at the moment that can profit from the World Cup in America, now's the time. You know, that's the narrative you have to, you know, we need 2 years in the market before the World Cup comes, and there's a billion people, you know, 70% of the planet watch the World Cup final, something crazy, you know, billions and billions of fans. So we have to use that urgency. Lots of people take it the economic route. So they'll, you know, we saw it in the crowdfunding pitches there. You've got, oh, the urgency is because plastic's flushing into the rivers. The urgency is because there's a cost of living crisis, so you need to wear Tom Daley's jumper. You know, there's like lots of urgencies. So the why now slide is basically driving that urgency. So pick your urgency and stand by it. In this case, you know, I said that the pandemic was like a zombie apocalypse. Looking back on it, you know, people were hoarding, etc. So, you know, we need to get prepared. And, you know, zombie culture is just gigantic. This is product. So this is a product slide, so I'll label these as I go, because I don't love the way that I've done this. Again, it's all about making it easy for the reader. They shouldn't have to try and guess what you're reading. They shouldn't have to try and guess what they're reading. It should be very, very clear for them in the first instance to do that easily, basically. So yeah, I don't mind this slide in hindsight. You know, looking back on it, I've tried to build something that is that fits across as many different business sectors as possible, I guess, which is difficult, you know, very difficult. So yeah, this is the product slide, a bit of business model, etc. Our market is huge. So now we're talking about market. So we've got the market size here, you know, and again, I thought this was a really good slide actually when I was making it myself. So 4 million people worldwide have participated in Tough Mudder events, more than 10,000 per event. Zombie movies have grossed a combined 1 trillion with popular franchises across movies and games. Every zombie game's a killer. Every zombie movie's a killer. You know, ooh, keep touching. Just live down here for the minute. Every movie's a killer. So again, According to a survey, 60% of Americans have watched or read something zombie related in the past year. So again, I'm just trying to drive the market size as much as I can. A zombie themed 5K attracted 400,000 participants. I thought that was really cool. And again, I did a bit of real research here to try and make it a bit more valid so you can understand where I'm going with this. But again, we're trying to drive people down the why. Every slide should say, invest in this business because the market's huge. Invest in this business because the problem's huge. Invest in this business because now is the right time to do it because 60% of people are watching zombie stuff, Team, I always prefer to have a founder slide and then a team slide. Ultimately, when we're talking about raising investment, it all comes down to, I guess, who they trust, and in this case, it has to be the entrepreneur, which I guess is me. I could go there. I'm not actually doing this business, by the way. It's a template. I just couldn't think of anything else to write about, and I didn't want to write about someone else's business, so I just decided to do zombies. But I'm paranoid about zombies with a passion for business, so that makes me perfect to run a zombie business. I'm not paranoid about zombies, just to clarify. I think I would thrive in that circumstance, given I was prepared. And that's where the Zombie Preparedness Institute comes from, of course, because, we don't want to be caught out in a zombie apocalypse, do we? So, and contact details are so important, just click on my LinkedIn, all of that stuff, I'm really searchable. I make it really easy for people to search me. And again, if we go back on the, on these crowdfunding pages, one of the only real CTAs that people have got, let's go on, God, I hate how they put the early accesses in with the actual campaigns. I think it's because they just don't have enough campaigns anymore to make their pitch page look any good. Oh, the gut stuff, we haven't reviewed this one. They look like they're doing quite well. Own equity with guts. I'm not going to review this, but I'm... Yeah, she's got a great profile. Look at that. She's got a great profile, fully optimized. Oh, they're DJs, man. It's an interesting one then. So I guess that's because they've got a social media audience. Because Professor Green did a whole gut thing. Oh, I'm sorry, my camera's in the way again. Professor Green did a gut one as well. So maybe that's popular for people with social media audiences. But they've done great. 300 investors is great. And let's have a look. Yeah, look there, 172,000 followers across social media. Plus 6.9 million TV. I don't know what that means, but omni-channel distribution. Yeah, I mean, again, it seems semi-realistic. At least I'm not going to do a full review on this, but 8.5 million valuation still feels a little bit high. But maybe they can justify that in some way, shape, or form. But anyway, the point was not about their business. It was about just make sure you're searchable, With pitch decks, we have to do some form of due diligence to see if you're worthwhile. Obviously, the first point we're going to go to is your own LinkedIn. Then we're going to go to your website and maybe check out some of the stuff on your website. Something a lot of people do. That's weird. Why is the website yellow, but surely we should use that yellow banner on this crowdfunding page instead of this weird one, but whatever. What a lot of people do is they go down into the terms and conditions, etc. on your website and just check the quality of all of that sort of stuff. But generally, people want to do DD on your business, so make it easy for them. So make sure you're well searchable. So anyway, meet Jamie with some little social links and blah, blah, blah. The next slide I would have if I was, if I was doing this as an actual deck would be a meet the team slide. So ultimately, then you would have like a breakdown of the team, and you'd go from there basically. But yeah, it's all about you, the founder. This is you're taking the money, you're the one signing the warranties, you're the one delivering the business plan, you're the one doing everything that's relevant. So you're gonna have to make sure that it's decent. We generate revenue. You know, the biggest thing, and again, the criticism of most of these crowdfunding campaigns, it's like if you're asking for money off someone, you know, be clear in what you're trying to actually raise, and be clear in what you've achieved. You know, it's so often we're having to wade through the bull, you know, the BS to try and get to the actual fact. Have you sold any product? Yes or no? You know, let's just go for the basics. Have you sold any product? Yes or no? Did you sell it for the price you wanted to sell it for? Or are you selling below value? Yes or no? Are you losing money per unit? Yes or no? Where do the sales come from? Can you provide a breakdown? I mean, this sort of information is so much more investable than, you know, 1.1 trillion market size for plastic cups. You know, at the end of the day, it has to be relevant. So for me, you know, the biggest thing that people mistake. So if you generate revenue, just say it. You know, just say it. So this is a traction slide here. It's a traction. We generate revenue. Yes, we do. We don't, because it's a fictional business, but in this little fake world, we do. And again, I made this so you can just, you know, you can add 4 bullet points or 2 bullet points, who cares? You know, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. But again, this custom template is free. It's in the chat. Feel free to use it. Feel free to use it. It's all yours. Good morning, by the way, to anyone new who's joined. We're getting about 400 people a day watching these, which is just crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The little LinkedIn Live thing is such a liar. It says 3 in the top corner, but then when you finish the stream, you get like the actual analytics, and we're getting like over 15 hours of watch time. We're getting hundreds of people joining, so thanks very much. Much appreciate everyone, and good morning to everyone. I'm here every day, at the minute, Tuesday to Friday. I'm trying to get the Monday in as well, but I just struggle with motivation a little bit on a Monday for whatever reason. I think it goes back to my restaurant days when I used to work with my dad. I'd work all weekend, and then he'd get me in the restaurant on a Monday, and yeah, it was grim because we'd go out on the booze. So I think I've just got a bit of PTSD maybe. Again, traction and timeline. Like I made a little joke there, infectious. You know, if you can make people laugh, making people laugh. They always say you can laugh a girl into a date, and you can definitely laugh an investor into a pitch. So yeah, try and make some little jokes if you can. Don't take yourself too seriously. At the end of the day, humor is intelligence. So if you can make little jokes like this, our traction is infectious, then do it, definitely. But yeah, I started basically, this is just a timeline slide. It's quite difficult to write when you haven't got a timeline, because this is a fake business. But ultimately, in 2020, I got bit by a zombie in the park, realized it felt amazing, and started planning how we could infect those around us. And we launched events and saw great traction with 100% infection rates, and we have partnerships in place to grow this beyond. You know, I'm trying to take over the world one zombie at a time, and I want you to join me on that journey, because look how well I'm doing it already. A bit of extra information here. Hey, we've got an anonymous unicorn. Make a copy anonymous unicorn, and to do that, you press File, make a copy entire presentation, and you can just have this. It's free. Take it. Competition. I made some fake competition because obviously there aren't competitors in this space, because it doesn't exist. There are no zombie preparation institutes out there for obvious reasons. One being that zombies don't actually exist yet. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm not going to discredit zombies To anyone new that's joining, we're basically doing a pitch deck review of a pitch deck that I've made. It's a free template. You can grab it below. The idea being that it follows the best practice for writing a pitch deck. It goes through mission, problem, solution, slides, etc., etc. We're now down at the business end, which is the competition slide, which I would say is the biggest slide for errors on any investor deck, because people get into this mindset where they basically build these like feature tables where it's like, we have all of these features, and look, our competitors, just by chance, because I wrote the list of features, have none. Isn't that amazing? And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to give, again, this is about investment. We're trying to raise money. And to raise money, we need to give confidence. And to give confidence, we need to provide context. And to provide context, we need to provide facts and figures on your market and your competitors. Now, again, the biggest error that we see is a feature analysis. No one cares about your feature analysis. What we care about is, are there well-funded competitors left and right of you that you are, they're well-funded competitors that you're competing with. Are you going into a market where Elon Musk is currently plowing £1 billion into it? And granted, he might not have, the same features as us, but he's going after the same target audience as us, and he's probably going to do it better than us. So again, that's what we're trying to give the investors the context. So you can see here that basically, I've said, oh, we've got Zombie Defense League, which, by the way, is a great name if the EDL weren't such... I can't swear. But yeah, Zombie Defense League is a great name. Startup has raised $2 million in seed funding. They offer a range of training programs, equipment, and merchandise related to zombie survival. Hey, that sounds really familiar to our business plan, and they've raised $2 million. Wow, okay, that's risky for us. Maybe it'd be good to say US based, so we can say that they're not in our space effectively, because we're UK or Europe. We're going to be training European soldiers. Undead Survival Training, a well-established player in the market with over 10 years experience in disaster preparation training. They've received $5 million in funding to date and offer a wide range of services. So again, what I'm trying to show here using fake businesses, so you can understand, is that it's not about your features, it's about who else is doing what and giving the investor the context to be able to benchmark your business against others. That is so important. So, take that in mind, take that in account when you're doing this sort of stuff, for sure. 48 minutes into the live stream. I hope everyone's doing fine. Get yourself a coffee, relax, unwind. It's Wednesday morning here in Spain. It's actually a bit cold, 24 degrees, which isn't great for Spain. But we're doing okay. I think it's been warmer in the UK this week, which is always weird because my friends always want to brag to me and clients always want to brag to me, but then as soon as it is hot, in fact, they just can't cope with it. We've got a lovely sea breeze here. Our ask, we are seeking $350K in funding to support the growth of our zombie survival training business. And what I've done here, as you can see, is I've gave a breakdown of the funding, so an investor can see where I'm looking to spend that money. The irony is, I think this pitch deck, if you even put it out, would probably get a better reception than 90% of non-piss-taking pitch decks, because it just follows the best practice, which is hilarious, I guess. But, again, we're looking to develop a mobile app. We're looking to make an e-commerce platform. We want to do marketing and advertising. We want to develop new training programs. And we also want to expand training facilities. I kind of imagined this in my head when I was doing it. Kind of like Tough Mudder meets paintball. And evil zombies, like real zombies. We'd need real zombies for this to work well. But again, so that kind of gives you the ask, and in nowadays I am looking at I'm definitely looking at thank you slides. Again, the world's ugliest logo. but it is what it is. I do like to do thank you slides nowadays. I never used to actually love them so much. But I think they give a nice ending to a pitch deck, and hey, if they've gone that far. But what's the most important thing is, of course, contact details. You know, again, making sure you're getting those in, because they should be on the, you know, a lot of people think they should be on the front page. You know, again, just who's sending this, but absolutely on the back page, I would have that is the start of my actual number. You know, just again, just something that makes it a bit more personal, you know, and just a bit more, please chat. I guess this comes on a call to action, you know. What do we want people to do after they've read a pitch deck? I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something that sort of I think about a lot at the moment. Is the call to action off the back of something like this. I find it so, you know, nowadays, these call to actions don't work. Grab a virtual coffee. That is a negative. That is not something that people want to do, and it's something that gets offered all day, every day. I'm thinking on the bottom of, you know, this is what, you know. I don't know if you can hear my dogs or not, but they're going crazy. So grab a virtual coffee is awful. Nobody's going to take you up on that one. You know, another one that people say is let's jump on a Zoom. People are very reluctant. This is just my analysis of, you know, sending out so many investment campaigns and working with so many entrepreneurs, is that people have really got Zoom fatigue. It's real. You know, this is why I'm trying to do these webinars, because I just get hammered all day, every day for people to pick my brains. That's another one. Pick your brains. Like, I don't know. Nobody has enough energy for a random person to sit there and pick their brains. I mean, on very rare occasions, people will do it, but it's not something that's scalable, and it's not something that's sort of enticing for the other side. So yeah, these are ones that I don't love. And this is basically when you send out your pitch deck, what are you asking someone to do? I guess some positive ones, I think, are, you know, we're trying to provide value here. So, you know, I guess what we're looking for is an opportunity to pitch. I don't know. Drop them in the chat below. I'm really thinking about this at the minute. It's something I'm trying to get my own head around. You know, what is a solid call to action for fundraising? It has to be one of two things. It has to either be, you know, to build a relationship, and to do that, I would suggest, you know, instead of, you know, if you're in London and you're targeting, you know, can you make it relevant in terms of, okay, well, you're going to be in London, let's meet them, or, you know, again, if I see you're attending Web Summit, would you like to catch up in Lisbon? You know, that sort of stuff will get you 100% meeting bookings. And I've met, you know, when I did go to Web Summit, etc., you know, I met some amazing people just by doing stuff like that. So I think, you know, one element is, can you make it in real life? We have to somehow, as online oh, that's the wrong way around. We have to somehow bridge this gap to the real world. you know, we somehow now have to become in the real world, and to do that, you're going to have some form of maybe, I mean, yeah, you can get investment 100% online. I see it all day, every day. But again, it's like for some investors, even just offering that shows that you're genuine. I mean, if I meet someone face to face and I meet someone on a Zoom call, my actual personal perception of that environment, that outcome, etc., that meeting may be totally different to whether I met them online on a Zoom call. It's quite easy to come across well on a Zoom call, but face to face, you get people's little intricacies. So, you know, how can we get into the real world, or at least show that we're available in the real world? Obviously, that has some barriers. If we are doing this 100% online, I'm loving using the product at the minute. You know, ask a question. This is, you know, if I've put a question on the end here, because it's like, Dan Boyer, he's a liar when he says this, but he says, you know, no one ever picks up the phone and rings me. And it's like, oh my God, I would never ring an investor or pick, I mean, if I was 100% confident that I'd hit their, well, I think that's his point, isn't it? It's like, if you're 100% confident that you're in their sector, etc., then pick up the phone. But I don't love that. But I do love, you know, again, if you've got a marketplace business, pick something off your marketplace, buy something off your marketplace and send them it. Whether that's an eco soap, whether that's a, you know, whether that's Tom Daly's red jumper, you know, and send that in a box with a card being like, this is Tom Daly's red jumper and he wore it here, and, you know, this is what our brand's about. You know, there's got to be a way that you can link a product, virtual or not. If you have got a virtual product like an app, and it's 100% SaaS or whatever, it is a little bit more difficult, but there has to be some form of perk in there, I'm sure. So yeah, try and get your product in there if you can. And if it's not a real world, if it's 100% online, a web app, etc., you know, ultimately, if you can't, I guess, free credit on the app, etc., if you ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, if you can't convince them that your app's useful or your technology is useful, they're probably not going to invest anyway. So I would use stuff like that as calls to action instead of, you know, come and jump on a Zoom call, please. Because no one wants to jump on Zoom calls. I believe yesterday we actually got a pitch deck to review. I haven't got confirmation on that though, so I don't want to do that. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But yeah, that's some sort of calls to action anyway, and I think they're quite relevant for people. Because I guess that's the biggest problem with this stuff, isn't it? It's like, how do you actually get someone on a meeting? You know, how do you actually get someone to come and chat with you? I mean, I always say to my entrepreneurs, if you're going to meet Elon Musk in a lift, for example, like, would you actually know what to say to him? And, you know, how would you sort of structure that conversation? So it's the classic elevator pitch. And, you know, a lot of people don't have that elevator pitch, but even if you deliver the knockout pitch, you need to have that thing that comes next, you know, to get that action taken. So yeah, anyway, that's been a pitch deck review. I've gone through the whole thing, including now a call to action on the end. A really quick summary for anyone who's joined halfway. I mean, you can just rewind the video and go back to the beginning. I appreciate that we're live, so you may want to stick around. But mission, problem, solution, why now? What's your product? What are you actually selling? Who's actually selling this thing? Do you make any money? What's your traction? How have you done so far? That's your timeline. You go to market strategy. You know, that's the sort of what are you doing and what have you done and how are you doing it in the future? Who are your competition? Don't tell me features. Tell me, you know, how much they've raised, what networks they're in. You know, again, if Elon Musk's done a zombie defense league, I don't stand a chance against him. So again, it's a bit of context. You ask break it down into what you're spending your money on, a thank you slide with your own personal contact details, and then really consider your call to action. If you do that, and this is a free template, I've put it below, you can have it yourself, just change it, just literally come up in this top corner, click File, make a copy, an entire presentation, and it'll save a version that you can edit onto your computer. And this turns a pitch deck into a couple of hours worth of work. So yeah, I think that's kind of the idea there. Cool. Okay. Well, that's pitch deck review over, and that's been an hour for today. So I think that's us good there. If anyone's got any questions, if anyone wants to say anything, feel free. I'll stick around for a minute and see if there's anything that comes through. Obviously, there's a bit of a lag there. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't think Cedars has had any new campaigns on launched. We have got a Fund My Pitch account, so let's have a look at Fund My Pitch. Let's sign in. Snooze. Fund My Pitch is an alternative platform, and we've already looked at a couple of these. We mainly focused on the ones that had raised the very least and see how we can help them. So let's do that. Yes, my friend, no problem. Good morning, Zahidul. I hope you're good, my friend. He's a really cool guy. He's in the chat. He's I don't know if an ethical hacker is what he wants to be called, but he's a great researcher. And he's excellent at investigating investor profiles. That's what I use him for. So basically on LinkedIn, there's a lot of scam profiles. There's 21 million scam profiles on LinkedIn. 900 million professionals, 21 million scams that we know about. So I often just ping those across to Zahidul, who will do some research. And 9 times out of 10, he gets it bang on. So feel free. He's on LinkedIn chat, by the way. No, I'm live on YouTube as well, and we've got some people watching over there. So yeah, we're there. So let's have a look on one of these, and let's have a little look. We've got a bit more time. Again, don't look at that. It says 4 people live. When I come off this, it'll have about 390, 400. I don't really get what's going on with LinkedIn and its analytics. I'm desperate to get this off this platform and just onto YouTube, where we can actually have some interaction. The next phase that I'm really wanting to do is get the comments on the screen, so we can have like a live comment feed, which would be a little bit more engaging. Tomorrow we've got Christoph back again. Everybody loved Christoph last week. I loved chatting to Christoph, so he's going to come back on. He might still be in Brewdog, we don't know. He might even do a little bowling stream. That would be fun if we can watch him do some bowling. A little bit a little bit creepy maybe, but I think that'll be hilarious. Useful stuff, thank you. CTA is always a struggle, says Padraig. It's a nightmare. CTAs are a nightmare because at the end of the day, it's like, what is compelling enough for somebody? And, you know, I'd love to show my LinkedIn DMs, but I think it's a little bit harsh to do that. But I just get hundreds and hundreds of requests on a daily basis from people. And they're all just so kind of like, I have to give everything. You know, my time is everything. My clients pay for my time. This is why I do this in the mornings, you know, is because I get so many people asking for advice that I said, right, look, I'll just sit for an hour and a half and just answer as many questions as possible. So we've got a lot of 0 raises on here, which is great. So let's take the one that's raised the least and has the biggest target. Popularity, let's do it by this way. So popularity will go to 0. You know what I like about fundmypitch.com, and I criticized them last week when I did their platform review, because I'm here to say what I see. I'm not here to BS people. Was I thought that the actual investment pitches themselves were just a little bit vague, but look, they can't be any more vague than the Crowdcube ones. But ultimately, they've got a lot of choice on here. You know, Crowdcube have now got what? Let's go back and count the actual live opportunities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know, Crowdcube, the leading investment platform in Europe, has got 9 investment opportunities live at the minute. I mean, come on. What's going on? And let's have a look. So Crowdcube's got 9. Let's have a look how many seeders it's got. At least they don't mix in the annoying coming soons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So Seeders has got 13. They've got a bit more choice at least. But Fund My Pitch has got a lot of choice, you know. I quite like that. I think from an investor taking a little scroll through, that is exciting. So we're going to look for the smallest traction and the biggest raise. Target 750, target 500, target 200, target 2.5. Wow. You win, AutoStone Group. So you are our target for today. So on this platform, you get a little video. 33 million vehicles.
Repairs. The UK's repair and maintenance market is worth £22 billion per annum. For the first time, private and business customers need just one number to access all windscreen and smart repair services. AutoStone provide a one-stop shop. Superior and innovative service for repair and with our approval by HMRC for the SEIS and EIS schemes, AutoStone are on target to be highly profitable in 5 years. AutoStone, the one-stop shop for automotive windscreen and smart repairs.
Okay, so we've got a smart repair business. I'm actually an expert in this space. I'm an ex-venture capital funded automotive entrepreneur. Clacks it. I should get a soundboard and do some. I'm gonna get a soundboard and do some. Yeah, I'm gonna get a soundboard. That's gonna be insufferable, but I'm gonna get that set up for tomorrow. Introducing. Anyway, long story short, that video told us nothing about the actual business and why they're raising $2.5 million. They've got a pretty steep valuation, so let's see if we can get to why the valuation is there. We've got, let's check out the entrepreneur first before we go into the pitch. We've got Mark here, pointing at a £5 million sign. That's worth $5 million, that business. Davis Group Limited. I'm just doing like a little bit of due diligence. I'm doing a bit of clicking here. It's been too slow to load, unfortunately, so I'm not going to. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is kind of what it looks like. So, you know, again, to an investor, doing base level due diligence is something we see so much. So I'm really glad to see it because I can use it to sort of educate ultimately. What we generally find is that people are raising funding for businesses that, you know, isn't their main focus. And again, this may not be the case, but if you're raising for $2.5 million for a business, we want to see top and center that business. We would also expect to see a service agreement for that business. You know, co-founder AutoStone under license to Venture UK Group, Capital UK Group. Just a little bit touchscreen Windows Limited. That's already closed. Oh, that's a windscreen. So he's the next windscreen technician. Yeah, you know, just make sure it's branded, you know, DGF, that's not the business that we're raising funding for, you know, and you've got yourself on a fundraising marketplace to raise money for the business. So brand yourself up, you know, you're raising for AutoStone, brand yourself up to AutoStone at the end of the day. We offer so anyway, for a 5 million valuation, I'm expecting to see revenue traction of at least £1 million in this business. You know, bearing in mind, it's not really a scalable, innovative business model as it claims, because, you know, you can only fit one windscreen at a time. You can only do one smart repair at a time. So to do 2, you need 2 fitters. To do 10, you need 10 fitters. You know, there isn't really that software scale on this, which gets you like a 9 times valuation, 10 times valuation. So again, you know, if we're gonna find out, but again, raising 2.5 million at a 5 million valuation, you know, we can all do the quick math here. They're giving away nearly half their business. Totally bizarre. Totally bizarre. I wonder how much steer fund my pitch have on this. Crowdcube take a very hands-off approach. Thus, we see crazy 89 million valuations for a company that's done 100K in revenue traction, but that's crowdfunding for you, and that's why it gets such a bad reputation. You know, ultimately, there are people out there who are very critical of crowdfunding, and to be fair, rightly so. But that gives you a great opportunity to do crowdfunding right, and if you do it right, people notice, you know, and doing it right is fair valuations, doing it right is, you know, relevant tractions and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I've gone through that enough. Business highlights again. We're trying to find out in a fundraising pitch. We accept the valuation up here, and then we just read the pitch to try and justify the valuation. Currently, we've got no fundraising in this business, which is quite, you know, again, in my opinion, quite obvious why that is the case. God, that's weird. I just got a weird LinkedIn message. I'd love to share that with you. But it was like a pitch. It's literally so relevant to what we're talking about. I just got an inbox. I mean, I wonder if there's a way that I can just... I'm just going to screenshot that bit of it and bring it up on the screen. Okay, here it is. So it started with, "Hi Jamie, I have a great business I started 10 years ago with little capital, scaled it up and down. So we scaled it to 170 employees, 500 million euro GMV and 8 million euros profit. During COVID, the business went bust, received negative media coverage, thousands of customers that we couldn't service any longer. Since then, we've cleaned all bad debt. Built a new IT platform and pivoted instead of single transactions." So it's, you know, this is the sort of stuff that investors get on their LinkedIn. And again, you know, it says, "In order to restart the business, I need 500K until we break even again." Here's what it is. So we're kind of looking here to try and work out the 5 million valuation. So let's go to the pitch, mission of the company. I do quite like this, that you get a pitch deck that you can put on the screen. If this whole business is valued around the market size, which is an estimate, I'm going to give it 1 star. The company is undertaking 50 million of fundraise. That is massively ridiculous and totally deluded. Davis Group acquired AutoStud in 2021. Revenue per van is anticipated. No. 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 Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 1 star. Less. I'm going to give it less than 1 star. You can't have a business valued at 5 million that has never made a sale. And if you've made a sale, tell us about it. I'm sorry, but this is part of the problem with the fundraising industry right now, is that, like, it's so flooded with stuff like this where it looks like people are taking it seriously. And to be honest with you, it's an insult to investors. And you wonder why investors only read pitch decks for 15 seconds, because, like, literally 90% of it is stuff like this, where you're like, right, okay, serious guy, raising 2 million, okay, they must have something here, 5 million valuation, wow, okay, like, you know, these are the businesses that I want to be looking at in that valuation bracket, so I can buy 20% of the company for a decent fundraising check, and then they've done nothing, you know, nothing. It's a kick in the teeth, you know, it's not great, so don't, you know, you're just wasting your own time and resource ultimately, because, you know, being realistic, nobody is going to just deleting that old post. Nobody is going to nobody's gonna back you, you know. So why are you wasting your own time? I mean, it's just unrealistic, absolutely unrealistic. So yeah, totally bonkers. Let's have a look at this one.
Many thanks to Natasha for another brilliant pitch. That brings us on to your cue with Dr. Nikit Anilbai. Please welcome Dr. Anilbai. Please.
Okay, we've got a real doctor. We've got a real doctor, ladies and gentlemen, which is great.
Joan, Mary, Raj, Muhammad. Just like my father, they were all found lifeless in their hospital beds.
Oh man,
They died alone.
That's a killer hook, literally.
Yet being a doctor, I know that we could have saved every single one of them. Even in the UK, less than 3% of patients are continuously monitored, which means that the data collected is just not enough to provide real-time early warning signs. Yet the technology exists, but there's a gap. Continuous data collection requires continuous monitoring systems. Existing solutions on the market integrate multiple devices to work as a system, or they have single devices, which are quite difficult to implement and often expensive. And that is where your Q will change for good how patients are monitored in hospitals. Your Q will deliver a compact wearable with advanced sensors, yet affordable, and will always be connected to the Q cloud ecosystem. It will constantly sense all necessary patient vitals, supplying doctors with real-time alerts, so that in critical hospital settings, they know to focus on the most urgent cases first, anticipate life-threatening events, saving countless lives. Serving hospitals with our portable product, your Q will have a profound effect on the way healthcare is delivered, leading to early discharges, telemedicine with real-time vital checks, long-term clinical trials, and even a future where your own medical insurance and drug treatments are tailored to your health. Today, we have more than 10 hospitals waiting to test our product. And we believe that with our connections and partnerships with Indian facilities, your Q could be saving lives in Indian hospitals in less than a year from today, building for a very strong case for distribution in other countries, including the UK.
I'm feeling a
We
standing
believe we have the right team
coming
to
on
match our
here.
ambitious growth plans. So today, we're asking for £1 million. £1 million to make continuous monitoring for all patients the new standard in healthcare. So invest in us. Invest in the future of your family. Invest in a future where no one has to die alone in a hospital bed ever again. Thank you.
Come on, I love that. You see, that for me, that is compelling. You know, I loved that. I thought that was excellent. Look, and everyone's clapping. You know, it's London Demo Day. It's new. It's 2022. I like that. I thought that was an excellent pitch video. It's really excellent. He said they're raising £1 million. I mean, granted, that was a year ago. But look, you know, this is actually, it's got real tech, it's got real costs, you know, it's got real everything. And they've got a valuation of 2.5 million, which is very realistic for its stage. If it's spun out of a university, it said UCL, it's probably got these guys called the IP group who've got a big bit of the cap table. So, you know, there is future funding there. Okay, he's got that in Indian. They're a UK, I believe they're a UK company, but they're pitching in Indian. Their deck's okay. It's quite neat, actually, to be fair. Look, traction, great traction. Hardware prototype ready, bootstrapped. Got their SCIS, 10-letter intent to some small private hospitals in India. Raising 1 million, projected pre-money of 4 million. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't match the pitch. Fundmypitch.com, get a bit of consistency here, because it says 1 million at 4 million there, but you're promoting the campaign at 3 million at 300k at 2.5. So what is it? You know, what is it? What have we got in the bit? It's minimum investment raise 10k. You know, look, I'm gonna give this pitch of the day, just because I loved that video so much, and I thought the founder was awesome. Let's check out his LinkedIn. Yeah, good man, building the pure age. Yeah, really cool, really cool. We're actually connected. That's cool. I'll drop him a message after this and say I've checked out your pitch today. Yeah, I think ultimately then, for a couple of things, what can you actually do in this situation? So you've got a fundraising pitch and people like me think it's good. Like, what do you actually do next? I mean, ultimately you've gone on a platform, and platforms are passive, you know. They're not very good at driving God, I'm getting hammered in my inbox. Can people not see I'm on a live stream? Like, literally, I'm getting spammed. Unreal. So what can you actually do? So let's go back to my drawing. Basically, in this instance, they've signed up to a fundraising platform. And platforms are passive. Platforms are passive, and what I mean by passive is that it's like Rightmove in the UK, for example. That, you know, you're gonna list your pitch, and there's, you know, you're gonna list your pitch. There's not really much you can do to drive traffic there, is there? You know, like with Crowdcube, as we see, you know, we've got campaigns that are just sitting there stuck. Ultimately, so platforms are passive. So what they ask you to do, obviously, is, you know, they ask you to raise in... Oh, I'm supposed to be drawing that. They ask you to raise in advance, of course. So they want to see... The crowdfunding platforms want to see 50% in advance. And that basically turns this from a passive process into more of a... more of a driven fundraising round, meaning that, you know, you've already gone out there, you've done the hard work, you're going to bring people to the platform because you've got to onboard them, and that'll give this, like, ripple effect. But generally, you know, you now have to ultimately start to promote through your own networks. So again, if we go back on Dr. Nikit, he's very unlikely to be promoting this on his LinkedIn. Let's just because, yeah, you see, he's not got the confidence to promote it, the campaign, because it doesn't look great optically. You know, it's sitting at 3%. No one wants to eat in an empty restaurant. You know, that it's Crowdcube use that a lot, empty restaurant syndrome, and it's quite relevant for pitches. You know, generally, it's quite important for pitches generally that that they've got a bit of something about them, and that can be traction. And mainly that's why crowdfunding, you'll see every time I look on a campaign, if it hasn't got 100 investors on it, I kind of switch off to it and say, oh, well, they're not trying or whatever. In this case, we've got a 5k minimum ticket, so, you know, it's quite high. You're still going to need semi-sophisticated angels. They have got SCIS and EIS available, so that, you know, is reduced, but it's still a difficult ticket. And we know that any medtech startup's going to have to raise again in the future, quite significant funding. But ultimately, you know, he's producing content. You're never going to sign up a hospital on LinkedIn. You know, he's producing good content. It's getting good engagement. Oh, Phil likes it. I love Phil. So yeah, he's in the right place. But again, You know, if you're not driving content, if the content you're creating isn't driving them to something that you want people to click on, such as, you know, your funding pitch page, then I would probably suggest not to have a funding pitch page and just do it offline. You can do very simple things like have a one-page summary on your website, for example, where you can sort of capture interest. But going back to this, promote through an... So all you can do really is promote through your own network. So that's the LinkedIn side of things. You can do... You can use cold outreach and use the CTA as the platform. So, you know, engaging with outreach providers, something that we spend a lot of time working on. And it's difficult, to be honest. But, you know, again, it's complicated. It's complicated, but not impossible. You know, ultimately, you can hash together some products. The biggest challenge is the database side of things. But again, not impossible. And also, you know, you have to try and get some form of traction into the round. And whether that can be small tickets, whether that can be lead investors, you know, you have to focus on initial traction. So again, what we kind of get frozen when we're doing fundraising rounds is when we see this big bar here, you know, 100%. We know that this 100% isn't even 100% because he says on the pitch page that he's trying to raise $1 million. So, you know, 300K is actually only 30%, and we're only at 3% of the 30. So we're a long way off getting this done, and people know that, you know. So I can see why he's broke it down. He's trying to do 300K, get some traction in the raise, get a progress bar that's above 50%, you know, and doing that you'll you'll get people moving into your campaign ultimately. But again, I quite like this. So the only thing I can suggest really is focusing on initial traction. You're going to have to do that hard work. You're going to have to be focusing on 5K angels. Productize it a little bit more, you know, make it... I spoke about it here, the call to action. I'd love to send you a sample of our product. Ultimately, I'm not blood monitoring. I don't need that oxygen monitoring when I'm sitting on my desk. But in reality, you need to do something to get this moving. So whether that is patron status, whether that is, you know, name on the website, you know, anything that can give someone a bit of extra kudos for coming in early. Investor dinners are really popular. You know, if you've got good connections to India in the healthcare space, you know, use that. Go and speak to other entrepreneurs who are in health tech. And suggest a partnership, you know, and introduce them to the 10 hospitals in return for 5K investment. You know, you have to do something to get this moving. You can't just sit on 0% or 3%, and you can't just sit there not promoting it on your channels. So, you know, again, I recommend trying to drive it and doing something from it ultimately. But, you know, again, I really like this. I like this business a lot. I thought that the pitch that we saw was one of the best. It just came across as really real and live. So yeah, I like that. Let's check out another one. Let's check out who's doing the best. Let's see. Not Nexity. We've already done Nexity. This is weird. So when you go on order by popularity, I don't know what makes it popular or not. Okay, let's go on this one. Let's go on Gene Hub. And let's watch the video. It's only 2 minutes.
Hi. Our vision is to halve the number of patients suffering adverse drug reactions, saving the NHS over £1 billion a year, which is enough to pay the salaries of nearly 28,000 nurses
Edward?
who are striking
Hold up
about
the sign
their
if
pay
you're not
in a
okay.
cost of living crisis.
As founders, we
He's
both
okay.
suffer from lifelong diseases, and we've experienced the side effects from a cocktail of drugs. Every day, we weigh up the risks of potentially taking unsafe drugs, which may lead to secondary diseases, with not taking drugs at all. It makes no sense when a simple DNA saliva test can remove the guesswork from prescribing medicine.
Sounds
The
sensible.
promise of personalized medicine only happens if patients get a DNA test and consent to share that data. Yet, only 0.01% of NHS patients have DNA data. This shortfall is our market opportunity in a space expected to grow to $5.7 trillion by the end of this decade.
And the drugs and doses doctors prescribe are trial and error without seeing patients' DNA data, which leads to 3 million annual hospital admissions from adverse drug reactions and an eye-watering £2.2 billion bill for the NHS. The crazy thing is that 40% of those admissions are avoidable.
That's right.
Just got a good comment from Dan. He said that post-funding gap presentations, this looks seed-orientated, no doubt the community would like to see later stage advice. I mean, it's a tricky one, Dan. I'm up for anything. I mean, my skill set goes from 0 to 3 million raises ultimately. So I've got quite a varied experience base. I'm more than happy to talk about some bigger stuff. But yeah, I'm up for anything.
Our solution is a DNA data sharing platform that offers patients DNA tests and insights to help doctors identify safer drugs and accurate doses, dramatically reducing adverse drug reactions. This service is free if patients consent to pharma analyzing their anonymized DNA for drug studies relating to their condition.
And we're building a fantastic team with over 35 years of experience in startups, digital products, brand building, sales and marketing, supply chain and logistics. And we've got prominent biomedical experts guiding us every step of the way.
We hope you find a moment to read our pitch deck, or better yet, arrange a call to run through it in person. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Interesting video. I mean,
Bye.
No, we're not watching it again, no. Interesting video. I mean, ultimately, if this is what you're leading your fundraising round on, I don't know. It may just be a case that they just put this together for this use. But again, so, you know, I will edit your YouTube or TikTok video, you know, like for 10 quid. They made some really big statements there that were sort of hard to keep up with. And for sort of 10 quid, you could get someone just to put call outs over the top of that and just trim it off a little bit and make it look neat. I mean, again, they're doing a great job on their fundraising because it sounds like they're onto something. It's a real personal story, which is amazing. You know, we want to try and link the founder to the business, founder to the problem solution. You know, that's what we're trying to do here, and they do that really well. But make it easy for people, you know. Again, going back to this platform itself, we'll come back to GeneHub, but look how much choice there is, you know. When we go on Crowdcube and their pathetic 9 campaigns, and we go on Cedars and their 13 campaigns, you know, there is a lot of choice out there. So make it easy for people who are trying to go through this process of looking for investments to make, basically. But again, you know, they've got 680k of their million raised, which is just amazing. So I'm super pleased for them. AstraZeneca has validated them, offering GeneHub to its vendor list. They've got a partnership which boasts 400k, and they've got pre-seed from Antler VC. So look, you know, they're really making great strides here. Spend a little bit of that Antler money on 10 quid of it on a video, though, and you could probably fill this a bit easier. Cool though. I mean, again, I like it. I can see why people are investing in this. It's got a really strong vision. I like that a lot. Vision, I normally call it mission statement, but it's kind of the same thing. You know, what are you trying to do? Motivation, founders of lifelong diseases. Bless you both. Cocktail of medicines, yeah. Yeah, that's great. Again, it's making it real. It's making it personal. Opportunity, problem, solution. I mean, this is pretty much practically perfect in terms of pitch deck and the way that we're trying to go through it. Bit of how it works. Bit of traction. bit of policy, bit of market size. Competitors, we'd like to see obviously fundraising amounts here, you know, so have Sano raised 5 million, you know, with this £1 million raise, are you going to be able to be, you know, a lot further forward than they are? You know, again, a little extra box there, just talking about their fundraising would be awesome. Revenue, they're obviously a medical startup, so they get a lot of give, and this is all very highly forecasted, but again, this all comes across great, and I think it's quite obvious to see why they're raising money in this market. They've only asked for 500k in this deck, so we've obviously got 2 contradictions. Because again, on here it's got 1 million, and they've already raised above the 500k, so maybe they're overfunding. I'm not sure, but again, I think that's really excellent. Really good. I think that's an excellent pitch. So yeah, Fundament Pitch has got some good opportunities on it. I think they've got a lot more information on the campaign. Granted, I don't know what verification process they go through. A lot of the reason why Crowdcube is so vague now is just the cost of them putting people through verification processes was bankrupting their business. That's why we get these generic passages of text and nothing else. But yeah, I think that's me for today. I think that's enough. I don't think we need to go on much longer than that. Generally, I've had a great time. I do love doing this, and I love sharing knowledge with you. I've had a couple of questions today. We want to see some higher stakes stuff, so some bigger raises. So we'll definitely look to bring that in the next live stream. We also have gone through a pitch deck review. Tomorrow we're going to get Christoph back on, and we're going to talk about the day. For me today, what I'm up to is I've got 2 client calls. I'm catching up with Sam from Alive, who's a great entrepreneur, and I'm trying to get him on the show. He's just been off on holiday, but we are fundraising at the moment, so I think he'll come on. I've got a call with another prospective entrepreneur. I'm finishing off some pitch decks. I'm building some investment funnels, and for me, success feels like, you know, if I get my to-do list done. So I keep a pretty solid to-do list. You know, I track, my days are planned by the hour, so I sort of color code my diary, and every minute is accounted for. So I've actually got nothing on until 10 o'clock UK time. That's why I've gone a bit longer today. But ultimately, for me, you know, the end of the day, success really is if I've done my to-do list and I can start tomorrow fresh. If I'm sort of carrying tasks over in tomorrow, it's not ideal. It's not something I really want to be doing. So, yeah, time to get another coffee and crack on. Have a great day, everyone. As always, appreciate you tuning in. And if there's anything that you need help with, feel free to ask questions, reach out. If you want to come on, let me know in the comments. I'll send a Zoom link and you can jump on and you can peer on this very screen. Until then, yeah, I've been Jamie Harford. This has been fun. And I'll catch you tomorrow at the same time.